Welcome to Hustles and Haboobs, the podcast where we dive headfirst into the stories of Arizona's most inspiring business owners. I'm your host, Amanda Miller, and I'm so excited you're here. I feel lucky to get to share the inspiring stories of these hometown heroes. Get ready to learn how they navigate the haboobs of entrepreneurship, chase their dreams, and build something incredible right here in the Grand Canyon State. Let's hustle. Dave, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm really doing good. I've actually been looking forward to talking with you again since our first conversation. And before we really jump in, can you just share with our viewers who you are, your business, and how folks can contact you?
Oh, sure. My name's Dave Forman. We own Pour Masters Bar Service. I'm a Pisces, in case you wanted to know.
All right.
Just in case, just messing with you. We send out bartenders for private events, public events, corporate, whatever you need for bartending. We can do everything but the alcohol, and the alcohol if you do need it. We work legally with a liquor store. And to get a hold of us, we got to remember
legal is good.
Yeah, legal's good, especially in our business. Me and the liquor bar are good friends.
Yes.
But Instagram is a great way to get a hold of Pour Masters, as well as pourmasters.com. I mean, we all have a website.
Okay.
So, and the great thing is we started before the internet, so we actually have our name and everything's perfect.
Started before the internet. Don't hear that very often anymore.
We're older than Google.
So I had before we dive in, so my son, I think I was telling you, my son's 18 and you have adult children as well, right? And so I had the experience of, well, since you were born in the 1900s, can we talk about I was just like, let's hold on. Let's just slow down a little here, right? I was born in the 80s. Let's call it that. Don't say the 1900s. Oh, these kids are getting out of control.
To school, right? I mean, it's hilarious.
Yeah. I did. And it's funny because born in the 80s, right? I had a phone connected to the wall, and I remember when cordless phones were all the craze, and that's all me and my sister wanted was a cordless phone for our room. And then cell phones start taking off. So been through a lot of them, a lot of the different changes, and as I'm sure you have too.
Phone. Oh yeah, I had a cell phone that connected to my car, right? So you'd click it, and then you would still have the cord, but it was in the car at the first phone.
Yeah, I remember I'm like, I don't mean this to sound the way it's going to sound, but I remember my granddaddy had one of those in his car. And I always used to, as a kid, and still, honestly, I don't know. I assume it was satellites, but as a kid, I would always wonder, like, how does this thing even work? It's not plugged into the wall. Like, where are we getting the phone signal from?
Oh, when you were little, your sister would sit around the corner with the cord, right? And try to hide with the phone, right? She'd be like, Bonnie's my sister, right? I had a secret conversation.
If you'd been on the phone too long and your sibling just literally disconnects it from the wall, like, you're done. It's my turn. I got to call a friend.
It's too funny.
Yeah, no, we're gonna have a great conversation today. I am excited to have you here on Hustles and Haboobs. And as we know, owning a business, I mean, you've got so much experience. I'm really excited for this conversation. A lot of business owners and entrepreneurs out there kind of hit that wall. They feel like they're in a big wall of dust. They're not quite sure what to do. So I think some of your stories and experience will lend well to those folks listening. Before we do dive in officially, we have a tradition that we've started here. And so I'm really eager to hear what your answer will be, because you've been in the hospitality industry for so long. So what's your favorite restaurant here in AZ, and what do you order when you go?
Oh, wow. That is a good question, because we don't go out that often anymore, because I don't know, we don't have the kids, right? So we cook a lot. My wife's a great cook. You're going to laugh, but we go to Pita Jungle.
Yeah, I love Pita Jungle.
Time. I know it's not fancy. We're not fancy folks. So I always get
good.
A chicken wrap with open. Chicken del Sol, I think is what it is. And then, and I'm a spicy guy. So then I just cover it in red peppers and and that's where we go. It's healthy, and you try to eat good, but that
Yeah.
and sushi. We're big sushi folks, so
Oh, I
uh,
love sushi.
yeah.
Are you a roll person or do you like the nigiri?
I like nigiri. I like the sashimi
Sashimi?
a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
The wife doesn't like it because of the texture, so she gets the rolls. And the great thing
Yeah.
about sushi, right, is we all share, right? When she's not, and I
Yeah.
go, look,
Everybody gets a
squirrel, right? And
little.
I grab her stuff.
I love
And
it. I
so,
love it. Yeah, no, I'm a huge Pita Jungle fan. I think we probably go to Pita Jungle several times a year, and it's one of those it's like an Old Faithful kind of spot, like the food's going to be good when you go. There's a lot of variety. There's kind of something for everybody. They're a good place for us to have here in AZ. So good call out.
yeah,
I
and
love
you
it.
leave full. You lose, you shouldn't eat it all. You
Yeah.
should take some home, but you do. So it's definitely a great value.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very true. And it's a place where you can share something or you can have lunch for the next day if you'd like.
Or the
Well,
midnight
Dave,
snack.
or the midnight snack.
That's
Yeah,
snack.
yeah. So, one of the things that I'm always curious about is people's morning routines. So, 32 years in business. Do you have any rituals or habits that kind of help you start your day with productivity or just feel, good about the way that your day's starting off?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'm not a sleeper, never have been. So I get up at 3:30 every morning, and the first thing we do is come down and get our coffee, and
Even
then
if you've had a late
no, I get for some reason my
engagement.
body, yeah, 4 o'clock maybe if it lets me sleep. If I sleep to
Yeah.
5, my wife checks my pulse. So
Is there something
just to
wrong?
make sure he slept in. But usually I get down, I
3:30.
relax. I go to open the emails to see if I missed anything during the evening. And then I usually
Mm-hmm.
try to get as much work as I can out of the way. Payroll, answer questions, do all of that. So literally by 5, 6, when it's time to walk the dogs, right, I'm almost done with my entire day of paperwork. Right. So that
Yeah.
gives me time when I get back from the dogs. A lot of times I read because we have a mastermind group every Wednesday. So I need to stay up on that. I have meditated many times, but most of the time I just try to catch up. So when the day starts and the phone starts ringing, I can give that
Yeah.
my attention. I'm not,
Yeah.
because as well as I do during the day, you're going to get another 50 emails. Right.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's nice. So it happens all the time. If you really want to break it down, I get up, I get a cup of water, I grab the dog food, I start the coffee, I get my vitamin C. It's really funny how
There
I
you
do the
go.
same thing every single morning.
It kind of
And
and it's kind of like a flow, a river through the
right,
morning, right?
right. And that way I don't have to think about it. But what's great is
Mm-hmm.
by 8, 9 o'clock, after, you're working out and all that good stuff that we're supposed to do, I'm ready to start the day and I already have all my stuff done. And being an owner
Yeah.
of a company, I got people calling and asking and moving and what we're doing. And, in the event industry, things change on the
Yeah.
dime.
Yeah.
So I'm always ready for that. But even on the weekends, it's really nice. My family or my wife sleeps. So 4 o'clock, I'm up, relaxing. And I don't have the honeydew list yet.
No, I love that. It's funny. So I thought I was an early riser. I'm up by around 5 every morning. My body has this decision clock that's between 4:30 and 5:30 typically. But usually it's right around 5. Even when I think I'm gonna sleep in tomorrow, and it's just not a
You
thing
don't.
that I can do. But I remember having so many conversations with colleagues and with my teams over the years, and oh, what'd you do this morning? And I'm like, oh, I did, I woke up, I meditated, I wrote it in my journal, I had my coffee, I went for a walk, I hung out, I did this, I wrote a little. And they're like, you have literally had an entire day before you before you got to the office. And it's really helpful. And someone pointed out, actually, yesterday I was talking to, pointed out that maybe it has something to do with being a parent, because there were so many years that if I didn't wake up early and get that time in the morning, you getting kid to school, then having to go to work, and then after, cooking, clean, all this stuff. It was like I wasn't going to get moments to myself, and I'm not a night owl, so
Right.
I
Well, what time do you go
I'm
to
not going to
bed?
stay up late. So
Which,
I go to bed sometime between 8:30 and 10 every night, and it's usually somewhere in the 8:30 to 9:30 range. Yeah,
so you still
I
get
think
your
that's
6 to
pretty
7
early.
hours, which is healthy,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And
yeah,
and see, I go to bed between 8:30 and 9,
yeah,
right? So it's perfect. So people say 3:30, 4. What are you, crazy? And it's like, well, my 7 hours, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's a good.
yeah,
It's 6, they say, is 8's perfect, but 7's good for certain people.
yeah.
And again, I just get so much done that it's just so relaxing to know that it's
Yes,
done
yes.
before the day starts and something catches you to take you in a different direction.
Yeah, because if you think you're going to start your day at 9, and then you kind of start your day at 9, the first few things that kind of fly at you, they're going to throw off whatever agenda you might have had for the day anyways. So that's a really, really good call out. I was actually watching last week, something came across my TikTok feed. That's a whole nother story, but something
There's
came
more
across my
hours
TikTok.
there.
Yeah, there's some more hours there, but it was talking about how, there are people who are predisposed to be morning people, and people who are predisposed to be night owls. And there was a study, I believe it was either an anthropological or a sociological study that was done, that talked about how those predispositions came from our ancestors as to whether you were a morning watch type person in your tribe, or if you were the night watch. Were you
Right.
the person getting up early, hunting, gathering, and taking care of the tribe that way, or were you doing the overnight, watching for predators and making sure nobody got mauled to death? So I thought that was
Right.
pretty interesting, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm hunter gatherer morning
Yeah,
type.
together. Well, when I was younger, I used to go to bed at 1 and wake up at 4. I mean, my parents have stories of you never slept. They were always mad. You never slept as a kid. But I think as you get older, right, and I'm old now, so the kids are
You
gone.
keep saying you're
It's a
old.
different
That's great.
lifestyle. I'm old. This is old.
You're not that old, Dave. You're still kicking. You're still moving
I
and
am
jiving.
kicking.
I love it.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, according to everyone else, it's the number is old. But yeah, so
Yeah.
I need my rest, but I don't need it. And I just feel like I get so much done before the world starts, right? And that gives me, if you call and say, come on, let's go to lunch, I can go, sure, right? Because I already finished everything that I was supposed to do anyways.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. So as you then, you work through your morning routine, you mentioned reading. When we spoke before, you talked about a book, I believe it was called The E-Myth.
Yeah, the E-Myth, yeah.
Yeah, the E-Myth. And can you dive a little bit deeper into how that book impacted your approach to building your business, your systems, your processes?
Well, sure. I actually was at a hockey tournament in Denver. My kid played hockey, and we traveled. And any parent listening is going to totally understand that. But I didn't sleep, right? And I'm in the lobby reading, and it's called the E-Myth, which is the entrepreneur myth, right? We all start businesses to become rich and not work, and we end up working our tush off, making really good money, right? But nobody's retiring in 1 year because we did anything. So this book is really about systems and making sure all your systems are written down for each department, each role that every one of your employees has, so they know exactly what's expected of them. Now, if one leaves or gets sick or quits, one can come right into that position and do exactly what that that older person did, so it doesn't disrupt your company. And that helped a lot for us, because as a bar service, and especially in this industry, a lot of us work from home. My human resource works at her home. My sales staff works at her home. The bartenders, this is all sort of a part-time great gig, so they're overdoing their things. My driver. So as long as everybody understands their roles and the system that we have, then it all seems to flow, and I don't have to worry about it too much. So you have sort of employee manuals, you have a driver manual, you have a sales rep manual. Everyone has their own manual, and it all works together. And the E-Myth sort of teaches you how to put all of that together. And they use McDonald's, right? If you go to McDonald's in Connecticut and order a Big Mac, and then go to St. Louis and get a Big Mac, it's going to taste exactly the same, right? Because
Yeah.
they're so systematic on how they do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's very, very interesting.
It's funny that you say that. So I think we talked about, I was a chef in my former life, and feel like I've lived a lot of lives, but I was a chef in my former life. And when I went to culinary school, our executive chef, one of the things that he asked us early on was, why do people go to restaurants? And everyone had their answers, right? We're shouting out, because they have things that you don't know how to cook at home, because of this. Da, da, da. And he said, at the end of the day, people go to restaurants for consistency. They go so that because they expect to get their meal the same way, the same flavor profile. And you can't do that. One of the things that I've worked in great restaurants, I've worked in restaurants that needed some help, right? I've worked I've kind of become over my career a bit of a fixer so in my business today, when I say I have a strategy conversation with a business, I'm talking to them about, what is your succession plan? What does it look like if someone new needs to come in and be able to perform a task? Where are your SOPs? Where are those housed? How do you onboard? Things like that. And you'd be surprised, or you probably wouldn't, but some people are surprised at, well, but I know how to do all that. And I just teach everyone, okay, well, what happens when you're not there? Well, it's my business. I'm always going to be there. Well, you can't always be there, so you're never going to take a vacation. You're never going to need a day off. You're never going to be somewhere else when someone needs, that information. And so that systems and processes are how you're able to scale a business.
Right.
So that's really good. The E Myth is the name of the book, and
right.
sounds like a really
they
good
also
one.
talk about how most business owners work in their business and not on their business. And if you work in your business, you can't expand because you're the driver, you're the bartender, you're the sales rep. So if you step back and look, and then you have these systems, and then you can scale and get bigger because now you're working on it and you're not really sort of working in it. It's already running from the systems that you have in place. So that's a lot, because we all start, especially the bar services. I used to bartend, right? I was the
of course.
I was the bartender. I was the sales rep. I did PR. I did the payroll. And now I finally have other people doing that. And I like sales. Me, I talk a lot, so I like people. So it works well.
Yeah, and I think there's a bit of a fear there with business owners, because you start the business because there's something about it that you like. There's something about working in the business that potentially you like, right? And there's a bit of a fear there of, well, on the one hand, no one's going to be able to do it the way I want them to do it. That's one thought distortion. That's the ego, right? And almost it's a bit of a cop out, because that is a justification to not write down and systemize your processes. And so then, of course, no one's going to be able to do it the way that you do it, because they don't have the tools that they need. And then on the other hand, there's a little bit, I think, of a fear where, but I like bartending. I like talking to people. Okay, well, if you want to, you can jump in and attend an event at any time. But that can't be your main job, because if it is, then you should business ownership isn't. You don't have a business. You've created a job for yourself.
You have a job.
And
you have a job.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's no way in the end run, if your goal is to sell it, I mean, you're gone. What happens, right? There's nothing
no exit
to sell, right?
Yeah.
It's very, very, especially in this industry, right? I mean, there's bar services that a gentleman, especially after COVID, great bartenders lost their job. So now they come out into the market and they're the ones bartending it, and they're doing a great job, but they don't understand, if you want to grow and get out of that, then you got to step back a little bit. Right. My wife will tell you a story. The first time I had 2 jobs on the one day, right? I was running around like, oh my God. I'm like, what am I going to do? Right. And now we do 14 to 20. Right. And it's like, we figured this one out. So
Got it figured out. I love that.
The first, I had 2 jobs. I didn't know what to do. I was free. Well, I was like, take a deep breath. It's okay. Call your friend. He can bartend.
We're going to be okay.
It's okay.
Oh man. And that's so so true. And, staying organized is so important for efficiency and for growth and being able to get to have 2 jobs in a day and then be able to scale to be able to do 14, 15 plus jobs in a day, right?
Right.
Are there any like specific techniques or tools that you've used over the years, especially as your business has grown, that help you and the business to stay organized?
Well, when the internet came out, remember, I was actually at Albertsons going through the line, and I met a cashier who was a coder back then. And he actually made a staffing software for a valet company. And the valet company is still in business. So it's the same concept, right? We have people that need to get in to get their schedule, but they need to tell us when they can work. And so he built me this system way back in before you were born, a long time ago. And that was great. And then as, the world's going and people start doing it, we found a software that's amazing that is staffing for us. It also does our delivery schedule. It also does the delivery printout. Because what's very interesting in bar services, you might say, Dave, I want red cups. And if we don't write it down and everybody sees it, the driver sees it, the bartender sees it, my, HR, whoever, and we bring pink cups, even though everything went smooth and perfect, that's the only thing that they can say and they'll yell and scream, right? And we don't want that. And it's very interesting that in our business, when you're at a wedding, it's very important to make sure every piece of information your client gave you is perfect to them. So I actually have a staffing person, we call her operations, but when you put an order in, she calls you to go over it to make sure you put it in. Like someone put something in for 2026 and it was like in 2 weeks in 2024, right? So she's like, oh, sorry, I hit the wrong button. So we catch those things. Then about 2 weeks out, we start the process. Are there any changes? And, are there more people? We want to go to pink? Do you want to keep it purple or what, however it goes. And that way, by the time it gets to all of us 2 or 3 days prior, the driver has the correct instructions. The bartender can see everything we talked about. So they're not out of anything, any specialty drinks, anything that needs to be done, even, be careful because my uncle, tends to get crazy when he drinks vodka. So only give him one. I mean, there's all this little stuff, right? And they'll even send a picture of their uncle, right? It's like,
right. It's like, everyone look out for Uncle Larry. Right. Don't give him
if he has 2 vodkas, man, he's dancing on the table, over. Right? So that's what's beautiful about, I guess, nowadays, right? The software changes and then we let other companies build that because they're smarter than we are. But it's really nice, the software we got. What's also nice is now on our website, behind the scenes, we actually can I have a software that does, it's like an AI with a, on my face and I talk and we put the manual up there. We put what's expected up there. So if you forget, you can go on and watch it again and again and again until, and kids, when your kids say, Dad, I get it. You said it 1,000 times, right? Then I'm like, okay, perfect. Now we're on the same page.
Now we're good. We're on the same page.
And you sometimes have to treat employees the same way, right? It's like you just got to keep saying it until they go,
it's repetition.
Right?
Yeah.
I get it. Right. And so that's what's really nice is, I have an avatar and, and then all the, we have these videos and it's really cute.
You've been duplicated.
Yeah. And it's pretty funny. But even there, we have Pour Masters Elite, which is another division of ours. And there it even shows, what we're expecting from you. And if you want to become an elite bartender, this is what's required. They have to send us videos. They have to answer some questions because you just can't be at the next level unless we know that's where you want to be. Right. So technology has helped a lot with all of these systems, which thank God, because
that's
when
huge.
I started, it was 3x5 card, right? That went into a little box that January and said, Mrs. Smith, bartender at 5 to 6,
Man, and God forbid they get wet, right?
The only time I freaked out is I forgot to ask for the phone number. That was it, right? So I'm like, they better call back, right? Oh my God, they better call back.
Yeah. And no caller ID, no.
There's nothing. I had a 3x5 card.
Oh man, these young folks today will never know about those struggles. Right. Oh, that is great.
And what's great about the software too is we have these beautiful accounts that use us exclusively. And so we set them up in our system, and we actually give them their own bartenders through Pour Masters. So they staff through our system, and they put the bartenders they prefer based on personality, based on, skills, so forth. So I don't even have to do it, but they're in there with us. And that's a pretty cool. Yeah, that's really cool because they feel like they have, control.
Yeah, I was going to say it gives them some control and
the bartenders love it because they're assigned to that account. So, if there's somebody there that just is beer, wine, Susie would be great. She's great at beer and wine. But Tom, we better put him on because we got to make mojitos and we got to make old fashions and I got to make, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and we got to do them quick because we don't want the queue filling up.
Yeah, no, festivals. We do a lot of festivals around town, so that's easy. Can you open a beer? Can you open a wine? A lot of people love that one because it's friendly. Everybody's out having a good time at the festivals.
Yeah. The what was it? It's the annual Scottsdale. Is it Scottsdale Food Festival?
Is it the Scottsdale Stadium, or is it in the Old Town?
It's in Old Town in a park. Green area.
We do the Italian Festival, which is near the waterfront. Near Olive and Ivy, over near Scottsdale.
Is it Food and Wine? Food and Wine Festival.
I don't know if we do that one.
There's one that it's a bunch of restaurants come, a bunch of different, and you can go around, and I think if I'm not mistaken, you get tickets, and sure. And then you can taste of Scottsdale.
Taste of Scottsdale. Yeah, we don't bartend that one. Yeah,
that's what it's called. Okay. Well, so anyway, kind of moving on to I want to hear about a little bit more of the inception story, because now I know this didn't throw a big wrench for you, but when we talked, there was kind of an interesting startup story that you had that might have crippled some entrepreneurs on their journey. And can you talk a little bit about how the idea to start the original team and then the changes, but how you just turn that into, keep rolling with the punches. And now 32 years later, number one bar service in the state.
Yeah, no, it's, if you have the attitude, you learn from your mistakes, right? There are no mistakes, right? Then you can get through life very simple, right? Now, some mistakes have cost me thousands of dollars, so it is what it is. But yeah, so we started researching this in probably November of 91. Right.
Okay.
And I had a really good friend who could sell. We always joke he could sell mittens to an Eskimo. Right. I mean, he's that good of a sales rep. And then I had a good friend who worked as a bartender in the resorts. And one night we were just, I did some research. I told you the story of going to bartending school. I was, driving. I mean, I was in sales, driving to a sales call, and on the radio was the become a bartender, for 2 weeks, take the bartending class, and and I was on the corner of the bartending school. So I pull in, take the class, and then I start researching that there were no bar catering because I just met my wife, and I don't want to work from 9 at night till 4 in the morning. I sleep, right? I get up at 4 in the morning. I don't want to go to bed at 4 in the morning. And so I met my friend, and I met this other friend, and I said, we need to start a bar service, a bar catering company, right? And there was nobody in the Yellow Pages. That's where you went to find
the Yellow Pages.
I love the Yellow Pages.
I love it.
It was funny. So, to be honest, we got drunk one night. We came up with the word Pour Masters. And back then you had letterhead, envelopes. You had to buy a printed package because you didn't have email, and everything had to be mailed and this. So our logo was just Helvetica Pour Masters, with the O in pour was like Alka-Seltzer, and bubbles went up the side of the paper. That was our first logo, and that was it. So we started the company January 1st of 92. And by the 31st, both partners left. One said, yeah, I'm out. And the other one moved to Denver or Colorado.
Yeah.
So I sat there and I went, okay, this is interesting. And for me, I was in sales. So I just started networking. I just started shaking hands. And I believe that businesses are built on not reputation, on being friends with everyone, right? With knowing everybody and helping each other out. Some of my staff believe it's all social media, and I say, no, it's based on relationships, right? Because that's really what happens. And God forbid we make a mistake. They're like, Dave, fix it. They're not like, I'm not using you again, because we're friends.
Because they know you. Exactly. There's a real relationship there.
Right? We're working with humans. They make mistakes. So we always make it right. That's one thing, but we try not to have too many mistakes. But anyways, so here we are, February, I'm on my own. And in the first year, we grew 1,500%. Because I just was shaking hands, and I belonged to a networking group that met every Wednesday, at lunch. And I actually went to all the nonprofits because they throw their things. And I said, I'll bartend for free if at least you give us some accolades in the book, and let us put a tip jar out, because that demographic, right, is perfect
is your
for
clientele.
What we do. They do home parties and all of that. And so, it was very interesting. We sent out press releases back then. We were written up in Entrepreneur Magazine. I was on the morning shows. It was like I was doing everything I'm supposed to do when you own a business, right?
That's
now
huge.
I think the internet has taken away the relationship part in a sense, right?
Well, it's tricked people as well. I was listening to the keynote from HubSpot's CEO yesterday on their it's Inbound, their annual conference started, and she was talking about trends in sales and marketing and the challenges that businesses are experiencing with the difficulty it's taken to moving a sale from a lead to, or even just an aware person to actually a sale, right? And one of the things that she was pointing out were some statistics around trust, and where most humans still don't trust people that they've never met. And so where a lot of businesses are trying to push all of the onus of responsibility in prospecting, lead gen, and conversion onto their systems and onto their tools, the reality is that the businesses that are doing well and that are going to continue to do well, there's a handoff at some point, because if you're not actually touching, meeting, looking people in the eye, you don't exist. You're literally just a concept on a screen out in the webverse, where the first mistake is, hey, go find me another one. Right. And they're not even going to talk to you, tell you why, reach out, answer the phone when you try and call, respond to an email, because there was no relationship there. It was just transactional. So that was really.
When you're networking, when you're networking and you meet someone and you have a gut feeling, right? You follow that gut. Not that they're a bad person, but maybe they're just not your right client for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Everyone doesn't click with everyone else.
And now with AI, you don't even know if they're real.
If you're talking to a human, you have no idea if you're even talking to a human. And there are a lot of, I don't want to call them fears. There are a lot of risks with AI where I'm actually giving a talk to some business owners on next Friday around AI and using it in small business. And one of the pieces that I'll be spending a good amount of time on is what AI is for, what it's not for, how to use it responsibly, how to make sure that you're not dealing or creating bias in your systems and tools, because these AI predictive tools have been built off of, being built off of information, conversations. And so you have to know, like, where are they getting their information, because that's going to shape the responses or the processes and tools that you're able to integrate with it. And that's a really good point, that AI is it's not a silver bullet. It's not, a perfect shot in the arm. It's a tool to be used where you as the business owner or your team, your staff have to augment that with a human experience. Right. Otherwise, it's just, money down the toilet.
Yeah, well, we love people. I mean, I always have. Even in high school, I started a fictitious company called the Night Crawlers, and it wasn't even
Oh, what
real.
the night crawlers do?
And the Night Crawlers threw crawlerventions. We threw parties in fields with 300 people. And I had a board of directors. I had a business card. We had an
I love
application.
it.
And what happened was this was 78 through 80, because I graduated high school.
Uh-huh.
Wow. See, I am old. And what's nice is everybody went to college in Michigan, right? Michigan State, Michigan Western, and I had a dot matrix Commodore 64 computer, the first home computer. And I had the crawler newsletter, and I would print out what everybody was doing at their college, and I'd have to mail it out to everyone. So this is back in 79.
That.
So back then,
you're
they were
before
even
your
laughing at
time.
me. Oh, it was hilarious. We were cracking up. We still meet, the board of directors still meet to this day when I go back to Michigan. And we all get together and just laugh and talk. My friends from high school are just amazing. They're still great people. The internet kept us together, which is nice. And the crawler so we had crawlerventions, and it was just hilarious. But
so you've been doing events for your whole life.
Yeah, it's funny. I grew up in a very Jewish area, so doctors, lawyers, big businessmen. I could name some names, you've heard of them. And I go back, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I say, "Oh, I own a bar service. We throw parties for a living." And they're like, "Oh, of course you do." Of course you do.
Yeah. That tracks.
It was just, they're like, "We never worried about you, Dave. You were fine."
Oh, I love it.
So it's just
That's
people,
so cool.
people, especially our industry, right? Our industry is made up of people. We do events with people, and that's the key that I try to convince the bartenders. We even do a little sociology of, ask questions, and even in our manuals, don't talk politics, don't talk this, don't talk that. Ask questions, get them to talk. When they leave, they'll say, "This is the greatest conversation I had. Know nothing about me, but I know everything about you." And I tend to do that. I tend to get people to tell me things they would never tell anybody. And I think that's a good sign of trust.
It is.
Right.
Yeah. And it's a good sign that you're showing interest in people, because people will talk when they are asked. But if you're the one doing all the talking, you're not going to learn anything about anyone, because you've never given them an opportunity to engage in that way.
Right. Well, you've had talk to somebody, and you went to Disneyland, they went to Disneyland, and you took a ride, but they took the ride twice, right? I mean, you're just like, "I'm just telling you what's going on." Okay. You don't need to compete with me. Yeah. There was a girl that was so funny. I walk in, and it belonged to some trade thing, and I walked in, and she was just saying how she likes those bananas, those little banana candies.
Uh-huh.
It was just conversation, how she loved them. So I went on Amazon, I got a 5-pound bag, and next time I just drive up, I walk in, I throw it on her desk, and she looks at me, and I walk away. And we made her day, right? She's like, "You remembered that? That's crazy." Yeah. And that's all it takes to make someone happy, is to remember what, you listen to them, right?
Yeah, people just want to be heard. And that's in every aspect of life. Including business, right?
Including business.
Yeah. And that's something that you have control over in a business. You have control over, helping your team to learn how to be engaging and how to have better conversations with people. But again, you've been in business a really good amount of time, and over that time, you've experienced things out of your control. Your business was in business during the 2008 recession. Your business was in business during the 9/11 crisis.
9/11. Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about, as a business owner, for many business owners, something like that is just their biggest fear. And we never really know when the next crisis is coming around the corner. You were in business during COVID, right? We never know when the next crisis is coming around the corner. And so can you talk a little bit about, how you as a business owner handle those curveballs that the world just throws at you no matter what. Yeah.
Right. Well, 9/11, right? They stopped flying. We're a destination state. So what we believe in is we don't put all of our eggs in one basket. I don't have one client that, God forbid, they leave me, I'm done. right?
Mm-hmm.
We have hundreds of clients. And so if the big one leaves, it's sad and I'll cry and it'll be bad. But we have all these others, and it really just opens a door to add more. So when
Yeah.
9/11 happened, we missed out on the corporate people flying in, but we still had the weddings. And, Arizona was still at least moving. And so that saved us. We have great clients there. 2008, we have great clients again. I had to staff down a little bit, which was sad, and get rid of some people. But at least we had enough cash flow and enough to keep on going. Right. And again, what's nice about our business model is there's not a lot of assets. A lot of it I have, but so you really just payroll, insurance, there's not a lot of overhead. So we can maintain that. COVID was a whole nother ballgame, right? The government gave us money. I mean, it was weird, right? They literally shut us down. Our industry was shut down, where I have friends in the home improvement business who became multimillionaires during COVID because everybody was redoing their house. They couldn't leave.
Because they were the ones who were able to work. Yeah, it's like, I can't go anywhere. And I am so sick of looking at this kitchen.
Right. New carpet, new flooring, new hot tubs. They went crazy, where my wife's a trauma nurse. She would leave, about to leave, look at me. She goes, "What are you doing today?" And I'd be like, "They told me I can't do anything. So I'm just going to sit here today." Right? She'd like put her head down and walk out the door. Like, that's not fair.
She's like, "I'm going to go
right, I got to go save lives while you just
I'm going to go save some lives, get thrashed at work, but enjoy."
Right. But I think for us, the key is we have great clients and we take good care of them. So when things like this happen, at least we still get bits and pieces to keep the cash flow going. Right. Yeah. And that way we got to survive these things that have happened. I think, I don't know what the next one's going to be, but I think a lot of people are learning and seeing things that, we can go into politics and all that later, but it's just interesting. Who knows, something's coming, but everyone's predicting, you got all these people with the doomsday stuff. So,
oh man, the predictions are plentiful. There's no shortage.
And we don't watch the news. I get yelled at. I live in a bubble, and I go, "You should come in it because it's really fun and nice.
It's great in here.
It's great in here. And everybody in here is in a bubble, and we have a blast." Yeah. Because
I had. No, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's like, it's just when it's all over and I'm on my deathbed, everything that the society has told me is not true, right? I mean, I'm done. I just want my friends and everybody to know I love them, and everything was great. It was a great life. And if you throw away what they tell you should do and do what you want to do and enjoy life and surround yourself with people that enjoy it with you, life's great. Right? That's great. But you have friends, and I know we all do, that never see that part. They always look for the danger. They look for this, and we don't live that way. Poor masters and all of us we're happy. And if you're not happy, get happy. It's crazy.
I was that person at one point in my life. And I remember having a conversation with a mentor, and I was like, by the time I'm on my way to work, I just have so much anxiety. And she's like, "Well, run me through your morning routine." And I was like, "Well, I wake up, I have my coffee. I usually either light a candle and meditate, or I'll kind of read or write. And then I'll ease into, getting ready, get everything going. I'll take the dog for a walk, or I'll go for a walk myself if I'm not feeling like dealing with Nugget in the morning, because I have a backyard and she sometimes isn't a great walker. And then I get ready and I head out, and I get in the car, and I start my commute. I turn on NPR, and man, by the time I get to work, I'm just like riddled with anxiety. And I was truly like, I don't know what could possibly be causing this. And she's like, how about let's just try not turning on the news during your commute. And now I do stay up on some news now. I get my news in different ways. I try and seek my news out through like my I have a news article feed that comes in through my Google and stuff like that, on things that I'm interested in. But ever since that day, like it was really a big shift. Like I was like, just yesterday the world was coming to an end, and today, since I'm not listening to it, it's not.
Yeah.
It's
The world's been coming to
novel.
an end for the past 50, 60, 80 years, right? I
The
mean, we
world's
can go
probably
back
been
at that
coming to
stuff
an end since the beginning of
forever,
time,
right? I mean, if you
right?
study biology, we're all on the fight or flight, right? So it's always try to
Hmm.
scare us, try to scare us, try to scare us. If you want to be happy, get rid of all that. So again, live in a bubble. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're mean to everybody and you can't come in. It just means I don't watch the news. I don't pay attention because I'd rather hang out with you and have a great time. And then in the morning, go, God, that was so much fun. Instead of, oh my
Live
God, it
real
could have
life.
rained on us. Oh my God. And oh, do you see what happened in Florida? Like, I live in Arizona. I don't know what to do. Right. So
Yeah.
unless
Yeah.
you're going to fix it, if I get it, if you're
If
into
you're
it
if you're if
and
you're
you're active,
actively,
right,
yeah.
trying to fix it, that's one thing. But the rest of us, for me, I get yelled at all the time. No one's ever that happy all the time, right? And my wife's like, yeah, he's always that happy. It's like, it's sort of funny. She gets mad.
Well, that's true. And that's another piece of it is, we don't like, it's learning that it's not your responsibility. And this, does tie back to being a business owner, learning that it's not your responsibility to fix everything.
Right.
And to be the fixer, of everything, whether it's in your control, out of your control, in your purview, out of your purview. That is a lesson that, truly, I believe, has to be learned. Otherwise, you're Stretch Armstrong, you're stretched too thin, you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. You can never truly get ahead because you're always worried about a bunch of stuff that's not in your control.
Right.
And if you're not focused on what you can control, then you're going to be out of control, and that's not a good place to be.
And the events are very interesting because even during the Emmys, right? I mean, I didn't watch it, but somebody said the Emmys were on, and a good friend of mine actually won one. It's pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
Behind the scenes, it's chaos. Like when I was a little kid, I used to work the spotlight for the Ice Capades, and the Ice, remember the Ice Capades? And
Yeah,
you know how
yeah.
I was a spotlight. That was one of my jobs.
That's so cool.
Behind the scenes, it's total chaos, but nobody can see that because it's all up front, right? So we sort of teach the bartenders, look, if something happens, don't complain, don't fix it, and then we'll move on, right? And if you fixed it wrong, and the next day, I will talk to the client, we will figure it out, but at least do something to make it look like you fixed it, right? Or to try to fix it. Things always happen. And you'll ask any wedding planner. That's their job, is to keep the client from knowing that something happened, right? Because we fixed it.
Oh, yeah.
There's always something going on.
100%.
But if it goes perfect, that's the goal.
Yeah. In my time, I think in all of my career, but you just reminded me when you said the backstage, there's like, when you work in the restaurant industry, when you're in the front of the house, the idea, this is the show, right? The front of the house is the show. There is a whole different vibe. It's very, low. There's stress. No anxiety. It's low stress. It's, the music is low. People are talking. They're enjoying themselves. As soon as you walk past that door, into the back, it's, hey, he burned number 7, fire number 7, move this, move that, I need an expo, I need a runner, and all of this stuff is happening. And I used to call that the symphony. When I was in the industry, and I loved that. Like when walking into the back, there was something about walking the transition from front to back where it's just like, man, you hear the pots and pans and plates are clanking, dishwashers going, all this stuff. No one in the front knows that that's happening, and that's how it's supposed to be. And similarly in catering roles, you might have dropped a whole Cambro of something that you now can't use, and but what you have to do is you have to adjust. You have to do it quickly, and you have to do it in a way where everyone is ideally still happy in the end.
Right. Well, we just had an event Sunday, and we delivered everything, and we forgot margarita mix. So the bartender called and said, we have no margarita mix. And this is the beginning of the Mexican History Month, or I think
we
was
need
Sunday.
margarita mix. Yeah,
Right, we have to have margarita mix.
History Month.
So I'm like, okay, what do we do? What do we do? And of course, the old guy calls the young sales rep, and she goes, it'll be there in 15 minutes. She called DoorDash, and she just said, here's our order, and sent over the mix.
There you
and
go.
So the client never knew. It got there before the event started, right? It was like, there, we fixed it. Okay, everybody calm down. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Just calm down. So it's very interesting, right? It's the key is things happen, fix it, and everyone will be happy. And that's how it is. At the front, the wedding is perfect, right? The bride will call the next day. Everything was beautiful. We loved it. Thank you so much. And we're thinking, oh my God, you should have been in back, right? Because it was chaos.
When the evening is over, the guests are all on cloud nine, right?
Right.
Everyone else, I mean, it's just like, okay, like we made it, we're good. They're tired, they've worked hard, and that is beautiful. I mean, I almost hate to ask you this question, but I want to, I want to know, what do you see as the vision for the future of Pour Masters? Do you have any specific goals or plans for growth or transition, or to the next generation? Or
again, 32 years, and it's a young industry, right? If you look at all my competitors, they're puppies, right? I mean, I started way before when. So we are adding cool divisions. We have a mocktail division now because a lot of people aren't drinking, and we do bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs. So now the kids can have a bar, and you can make it look like a cocktail with the dehydrated fruit and the colors, but there's no alcohol in it. So that's nice. The mixologist is the new thing. So we have Pour Masters Elite now, and we can smoke your glass. We can do, and have all of that and make the whole mixology. Now, the issue with that one is drinks take a lot longer to make. So it should be a smaller crowd than a wedding of 200 people, because then the line's out the door. So there's a lot of difference goes there. But I just see us expanding, and, who knows? I mean, I'm getting old enough now where I'll settle down and, sell the company one day. But we're still having too much fun. I mean, it's it's hard. It's hard to
it's hard to let go when you enjoy what you do, or not even let go, but just like it's hard to make the decision that it's time, or I'm done, or I'm ready, because it's not like you're not getting up in the morning like, oh, all right, here I go, going to do this again.
Like, I jump on the computer like, what do we got today? Oh, we got this party, we got this fest. Oh, should we go to that fest? Oh, we got a concert. I wonder if I can get tickets. I wonder if I can get some tickets in there. And what's great is, again, when I was your age, I used to go out all the time. So now, we do get tickets to a lot of stuff, and I give them to clients, or I give them to the great bartenders for their services. And, I let people enjoy what we do, because I have no problem sitting at home. Okay, I'll let you know. I have no problem sitting at home drinking a Crown Royal and sitting in a hot tub. But there's certain places we do go. The Botanical Garden is one of our accounts, and we sponsor music in the garden. So if you like their music, let me know, because we can get you tickets for that if you like. So get on their website and check it out. But
that's beautiful.
I think it's we're just expanding, in a sense, and we're doing it smart. We don't, again, we don't need to do everything. There's great clients out there that have like beer trucks, and they have the beautiful horse trailers turned into bars. That's something that we probably won't do, right? Because that to me is a little bit too much. But everything else, we're bringing in other aspects of the bartending, and it seems to be changing and working. So that's fine with us. Yeah,
ever evolving, and that is the mark of a scaling business, being able to create and start adjacent divisions that make sense for your core business. That's beautiful.
Well, the best thing, real quick, the best thing to do is wait for your clients to ask for a service. Then you're like, okay, now that makes sense. I don't want to take that risk, but hey, Dave, we got a bunch of kids. Can you do mocktails? Oh, absolutely. Next thing you know, there's your division. Right. Yeah. And next, you do it at one party, and the parents go, "Oh my God, this is great for the kids." Next, they trade you out like your business.
Let the market tell you. Right. A lot of people bring a business to the market, and come to find out, the market doesn't isn't ready for it or doesn't want it, or there's no appetite for it. So that's a
Right.
really, really good tip.
Yeah. I mean, you got
Well,
to. Okay. Go ahead.
no, I was I was just gonna say, as we kind of come to a close, I was gonna ask you, what advice would you give to someone who's interested in starting their own thing, thinking about entrepreneurship, and maybe what's one thing you wish you would have known when you were starting out?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, first of all, everyone should own a business. I coach a lot of kids on starting businesses, and I think everyone should, because it gives you the freedom, it gives you the income, and you decide your lifestyle, right? I think it's a great way to do that. It's not as hard as people think, especially in the service industry. I mean, there are other things that might be cost effective if you're going to start something that needs a lot of overhead, but just have fun with it. I always say go and get a domain first. It's very interesting how all these kids I talk to, they say, oh, my company is XYZ, and while they're talking, I go on and nope, can't use that one.
No, it's not.
Right. So when you come up with a name, go ahead and just buy it off of GoDaddy or wherever you buy your names. And if you don't like it, just let it go in a year. But nobody can get it in the World Wide Web. And that to me is very important. I've talked to many people, especially at one of the high schools, Metro Tech, we speak about business, and the kids are like, never thought of that. And I'm thinking, oh my God, it's the internet, right? So definitely do that first. And then once you do that, then you got to get all your social media, because again, that's where everybody seems to be going. So that's something that I didn't know, right? I didn't know at all. What would I think I should learn? I made so many mistakes. I think I've learned them all. Enjoy people, be very specific as an owner, what you want done. And if somebody doesn't do it, correct them and bring them back. Because if I've had employees for 11 years and they go off to do their own thing and it doesn't vibe with what we're doing, and then I have to let them go because they didn't follow what we wanted. So just be very specific to your crew and what is expected from them, and reward them. I mean, we do all sorts of cool stuff with let them know that we appreciate them, because for us, it's a second job, right? I do have employees that have been with me 15, 20 years, which is great. But most people work for us to pay off debt, go on travel, right? It's that second bartending job because they make good money. So I think I trust people too much, could be my downfall. So when I first started, I told people what to do and then I just let it go. Right. And then they would go off. And now some of my biggest competitors, they used to work for me.
Yeah.
Which is fine. They're still good guys. Yeah. I mean, they're still good guys. But just be very specific.
Be specific.
On what you want, and make sure they follow it, because you have the vision, right? As the owner, you know what you want, and you just have to convey that to them so they understand it. And each one of them is different to learn, right? As a manager, it might be a visual. For someone else, it might be something else, right? My son's an aerospace engineer. You don't say, hey, give me that thing behind you, because he'll go, Dad, there's 5 things behind me. Right? There's very specific. So you have to talk to him different than the artist, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We learned very early how to talk to him because it didn't go over well.
It didn't go well.
He was very
That's
specific.
so funny. Yeah, everyone learns differently, and as the leader of the organization, it's your job to teach people in the way that they learn, not in the way that you want to teach them. And to that end, what you're sharing is resonating with me as inspect what you expect. If you tell someone to do something, there's a saying in the training world, which is telling ain't training. Just because you told someone doesn't mean you've trained them on it. And so that is really good advice. Thank you.
I know we have to go, but we tell them how to set the bar up. We tell them what to do as soon as you get on a job. We tell them how to close it down, what to say at the very end, how to thank the person. So, it gets to just be a way that everybody does it, right?
Leave it so that there's nothing to question. You don't want your people wondering what they're supposed to be doing, and then therefore doing what you didn't want them to do, but they didn't know that you didn't want them to do that.
I'm confused already.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, thank you so much, Dave, for sharing your wisdom with us today and having the conversation. Dave with Pour Masters. You can reach Pour Masters on social media, Instagram, Facebook. You can check them out on the website. Is it pourmasters.com?
It is, yeah. And even
There
if you
we go.
spell it wrong, we have Poor in case you don't know how to spell.
See there, and that is strategy, folks.
Right.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Hustles and Haboobs. Don't get stuck between the wall of dust, behind the wall of dust. Make sure you tune into the next episode, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you so much.